Step outside.
Ya'ate, anotro, kondit all of you here tonight. Hello, hello, hello in the beauty way. Thank you for being here this evening. We would like to start our evening by taking this time to acknowledge our traditional owners and ancestors of the tribal lands, Oka, Poke, Owinge, and it is called Santa Fe. We reside on here in these lands. Thank you all, ancestors of these lands and the people currently, the 19 pueblos around us, for allowing us to be here on your land. So this evening is a special night. It's a special, special night. We have our beautiful sister, Star Nayea, First Nations Anishinaabe, who has spent the last 15 years launching her musical advocacy programs, such as HEARTS, which stands for Healing Through the Arts. Star wears multiple hats, including singer, songwriter, artist, advocate, and activist. The beautiful thing about activism is, people think activism is anger and fighting, and, activism can be a love fire. It can be a love place for us to just create and just bring in more people in the name of love. Star was taken from her birth mother, trafficked away from her family and reservation, First Nations Anishinaabe, as part of the 1950s to 1980s, what was called the Canadian Scoop Up, perpetrated by Canada and the United States and several other colonial um, um, uh, organizations throughout the world, Aboriginal, Pacific Islanders, all over, and they all followed kind of the same model. In any case, Star has won multiple musical awards and continues to acknowledge, this is a quote from Star, music saved my life. I concur. I second that. Please welcome Star Nayea.
You.
Thank you for being with us, sister. You look beautiful. Thank you. Let's go ahead and get started. Why don't you tell us about yourself to kick off the evening?
So yeah, my name is Star Nayea. I was taken from my my birth family, my homelands, right away, basically out of the womb. It was told to me the way that it was done all those years ago, and this was told to me by Cree elders up in Manitoba when I sat eating and sharing a meal with them and listening to them speak in Cree. And then they turned to me and asked me where I was from, and I told them I didn't know. And I said all I had to say was I don't know, I was adopted. And they said, oh, sure, sure, because it's very common up there. And then they told me a long time ago, in the wintertime, planes used to come in, and planes can only fly in the wintertime. You can't drive up to these parts of Manitoba. And these planes would come in monthly, and they would smuggle brand new babies out of the hospital as they were born. And I sat there listening to this because 10 years earlier, it was told to me from my non-Indigenous adopted father that he, quote, brought me home in a box with holes poked in the top when I asked him where I came from, and swore that I wasn't Indigenous and I wasn't Black, so I had to be white. Those were his words. And so he didn't really know any other race, either Black or white. And so 10 years later, you can imagine my surprise when I'm sharing a bowl of soup with these Cree elders speaking Cree, and then they break their speaking their language to tell me in English that they knew, and they saw and they witnessed the babies being smuggled over the border of Canada out of the country and never to be seen again. And so when I heard that, you can only imagine it really knocked me over. And I realized that what my adopted father had told me 10 years earlier, before this even happened, was he wasn't lying, he wasn't kidding. So But before that, I went around, Detroit, Michigan, doing what every other kid does, trying to grow up. But my situation was a little bit different because I was an Indigenous child in an all-white home in Detroit, and didn't understand why I didn't look like any of the people that were around me. And then second of all, I didn't understand why I was the only one in the household that received beatings and that was heavily abused, neglected, locked away, not offered food when everybody else was eating, just the stuff that you would hear in nightmares. It happened to so many of us. So I'm in good company, and I'm okay with it. I'm at peace with it. So I try not to dwell on that, but it's just a part of who Creator God made me into. And I really do believe that we're chosen in terms of, what happens to us. God only chooses the strongest people to survive, and so we can survive and come through this, and then be a gift, be a light to other people, be a passage to peace to other people who might be experiencing this. And so we don't have enough time for my life story, but I went up to Manitoba again after this meeting with the Cree elders, and then I went up there to do a performance, a beautiful song that I wrote called My Homelands. And it was in Saskatchewan. And when I was done singing this song, I took some really great people that people are going to know of in Albuquerque. Adrienne Wall. I took Adrienne Wall with me. And then I took, who else did I take? I forget off the top of my head, but they went in there, they went up to Canada with me to do this concert. And then after we got done, I told both of them, I said, I'm going to go find someone, and I'm going to go sit with this medicine person, and I'm going to see what I can see. And so that medicine person revealed a lot of stuff to me, and it was pretty miraculous, and definitely let me know that the stuff that I was told, and the stuff that is in writing, and the stuff that was provided, very minuscule amounts of my life that was provided for me, to me throughout my life, ended up being, that onion, that layer was peeled back, and little by little things are being revealed. And so I do have the knowledge of where I come from, just haven't found my family yet, haven't found my community, and things of that nature. But we don't have enough time to go into that. A lot of people are going to say, oh, just do DNA testing, and I did that. But I don't know if people know, like, 7, 8 years ago when I did that, it didn't take you to your front door, it didn't take you to your birth family, especially if you're from Canada. It just sends you a pie chart. In the day that I did it, it sent you a pie chart and told you all of what you were. But now there's new advanced testing. So I've got a little bit of that sitting in my drawer, a 23andMe thing, and I'm sitting there just going, when do I want to rip that Band-Aid off? When do I want to dive into that story all over again? And so I'm sort of working my way up to doing that, because if it does reveal family members and it does reveal blood relatives, then that's a whole nother journey I have to take all over again. So I'm working myself up to that. But I know whose I am, and I already know who I am. I am a child of our Creator. And
That's
so
right.
that's for me, that's the only family that, and then family is who you choose. So look, at this isn't a sad story. Are you kidding? How many times, anybody who's watching this, who I invited to the show, my sister Renee Roman knows, will tell you, I've been adopted by her. I've been readopted by Indigenous people 1,000 times. So I have family, and the family is who you make it. It's not always blood.
That's right. And we have been blessed with Renee on our show as well. And she is another rock star that we
Yeah.
love to have come
Mhm.
back. Yeah, this is just great. This is great. And thank you very much for sharing some very deep details about your life and being transparent about it all. I think that's the way into healing. So the next question that's just brewing inside of me, I'm dying to ask you,
Mhm.
how and when did you start singing, and how did you get into the music scene?
I think I think I always had I really think it harkens back to what I said earlier about how, Creator God chooses everyone to do something. Everyone has a purpose. And so if I was chosen to go through that, just like thousands, and I'm not talking thousands, I'm talking tens of thousands. And so when we're on this journey, like Buffy St. Marie, Creator God gave her a gift too. And we all know what her gift is, right? So same thing. We were given this gift to sing and to write and to express. And so I really think that it was kind of innately in me from the very beginning. And I didn't really know what I had. But I started singing when I was 5. And I always like to tell a story that when I was 5 years old, I was watching this show, this movie show on TV. And there was this woman in the movie, and she had ruby red lips. Of course, I love red lips. And she had like pigtails, and she had ruby red slippers to match. And she was saying this, where am I? Where am I? You guys know probably where I'm going with this. And so she started singing this song, somewhere over the rainbow, way up high. There's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. And when I was 5 years old, I had just experienced something that was so painful. My foster mom had just done a horrific physical abuse to me. She had just bit my thumb, and because I was sucking it watching the movie. And it was such a odd exchange of pain and comfort as I was looking at my thumb, unbelievable pain, and looking at the marks of her teeth and just crying, and then listening to the voice of Judy Garland singing that song. A transformation happened. It was like, it's really indescribable to express how it just took over in me. And that song, not only did the lyrics touch my heart, but her voice touched my heart. And so that was like the very first song I ever learned to sing. Um and and then I took that song, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I took that song and I would sing it everywhere, because that's the only song I ever heard for such a long time. It's not like, I grew up in a home that let me listen to music all the time, let alone sing. So that song was kind of like my theme song, Somewhere Over the Rainbow. And I've told that story so many times, and it's just true. I mean, I don't know what else to say. That song just, it gave me this birth, this moment of realization that, I wanted to go figure out where that place was that she was talking about, where bluebirds fly, and troubles melt like lemon drops, and all of these things. And at 5 years old, I understood what that was. Like, I just knew exactly what she was talking about. And so, yeah, it was kind of my theme, I guess. So that was where it began. And then introduced Detroit, Michigan, where I grew up. Hello, Motor City and Motown, all rolled into one. Aretha and Ted Nugent, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Ted Nugent now, but I was when I was a kid. So, but Aretha, she was my hero. She was my absolute hero. And yeah, so growing up with that, that bit me right there.
Wow. That's just, wow, Detroit. The last time we cruised through Detroit, it was something of something that was something. It was just big cracks in the roads. And
Mhm.
I just looked around and went, wow, this is where it all started. I hope it comes
Yeah.
back,
Oh
because it sure
yeah.
didn't look like that anymore.
Mhm.
Well, you know what? I think this is a really good time for us to ask you if you would be willing to sing us a song.
Sure.
All
Let me
right.
fire something up here for you. So, I have to give credit to the Lummi Nation for the title of this song. The Lummi Nation is just north of us, about 60 miles or so, and they are a Coast Salish tribe. And I have to give credit to a dear sister friend of mine, Nikki Finkbonner. We were all sitting around a table, and we were having a meeting about a domestic violence conference. And we were just talking about, how important it was to be able to make a difference, with our music and with what we were doing. And I just can't recall the conversation verbatim, but I had said at one point, we just got to teach people how to build that love from the inside out. And then I went home that night and I wrote this song. And so I always credit the Lummi Nation and the women of Lummi, who are so powerful and so beautiful and so sacred to me. And so I always credit them when I sing this song.
Yeah. Whoa. What does it take for the past to go away? Yes. The pain will subside. We will finally thrive. And all we've endured shall not fade away. We will stand strong and face a brand new day. You gotta build love from the inside out. You've got to build love from the inside out. Yeah. A long, long time ago, how did our ancestors know this whole war that we would face? We were nearly wiped away. Centuries have come and gone, somehow we still hold strong. Through the turmoil and strife, never give up on this life. You gotta build love from the inside out. You got to build love from the inside out. When this life is too much to take, you wanna scream and shout. You gotta hang on to that love you build from the inside out. Now, we are their descendants, simple humans born from strength. They will never defeat us, even though they try their length. We will gather all together, lift each other up, lift each other higher. That's real love. You gotta build love from the inside. You got to build love from the inside out. When this life is too much to take, you wanna scream and shout. You gotta hang on to that love you build from the inside out. You gotta build love from the inside out. You got to build love from the inside out. When this life is too much to take, you wanna scream and shout. You gotta hang on to that love you build from the inside out. I said, oh, when this life is too much to take, you wanna scream and shout. You gotta hang on to that love you build from the inside out. You gotta hang on to that love you build from the inside out. Thank you. Ooh, wow.
Ooh, I didn't think I'd make it through that one.
Those-
That's good. Okay.
Where did those vocal cords come from? Oh my gosh, that is like beyond the diaphragm there. Like serious training or just natural born gift there. Thank
Well,
you, Star. That
thank you so much.
oh wow, I just want to breathe. I want to cry. I want to tears. You just gave me so much hope. We've been such through a rough time for the last 2 years, and without going into any details, a lot's involved in this recovery process and walk. So that's it. Love from the inside out. That's what we
Yeah.
all got to do, family. That's what we all got to do. So tell me, I want to know how you get your inspiration in times of like emotional droughts. Like,
Mm.
we just went through this COVID experience where we're all forced to isolate, and musicians like yourself and us, we had to just like cancel all our travels and shows and festivals and just go home and go, okay, let's write a song. You know,
Mhm.
how did you draw inspiration in these last 2 years to just keep pursuing the creative process of your gift?
Well, the first year, I think I was with everybody else, just very stuck and very in shock, very much in shock, and just not really knowing what to do. So we did a lot of following each other. What were we going to do, and how were we going to keep, sharing and expressing ourselves? And but more times than often, it would just be a deep reflection of really, if where we were in this world, if this was the end times, as they say and talk about, and all of history and time. What do I want to give on my way out? If this was to be the final curtain call for me and what I'm supposed to be doing here. And all I could think about was the gifts that Creator God gave me in music, music, music. And so for the first year, I didn't necessarily do a lot of shows online, because I just thought, well, everyone else has got that covered for me. Everyone's face was on Zoom, and I just really was not, right? So I took myself out of it, and I just kind of wrote songs, and I just wrote a lot of songs about, the value of all of us together, what we contribute to the universe, what we contribute to the world, what we contribute to each other, and that love. And then I took a broader look at everybody that was running toward the flames, like the first responders and the doctors and everybody who, the sicker that we saw people getting, the more people moved toward them to help. And that just inspired me. So I really think that watching the healing of the sick and these wonderful angels that Creator God just brought on the scene to help people in this time just really helped me to figure out where my place was. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse, but what the gift that I was given was music. And so I just really pressed into my faith, pressed into my gift that Creator God gave me, and just began to write a lot of songs and sit and record. And then, I struggle with a lot of mental illness. And so after a certain amount of time, as you all know, after lockdown, what then? What were we going to do then? And when it didn't really start changing much, my depression kicked in a lot, and there was a lot of things happening in that realm. And so, it was just really about continuing to express myself through song and through lyrics and through prayer. And I mean, there would be times when I would drop to my knees and just pray and cry. And then I would hear my words, and I would think, man, that's a good song. I just need to put that song out. Those prayers are powerful. In whatever language we pray, in whatever way we pray, the magic is that prayer. The magic is being that prayerful human being. And especially in the Nayea country, when we were watching things on the internet, even though it was a scary time, we lost a lot of relatives in Navajo Nation. And even my son's father fell ill, and his grandparents fell ill. They survived, but there were people that didn't. And so that was a real eye-opening experience. And so again, anything I could do on the social media realm, I would leave inspirational messages, but it was just recording, writing. And that's really how I kept busy. But the pandemic has persisted, and money is a hard thing to come by. So getting into the studio and recording all of the things that I created is kind of a hardship right now, trying to figure out how to put that all out and share it with the world. So I'm just doing the next thing, which is I'm super honored to be working for a nearby tribe, the Tulalip tribe. And I got hired on to do some wellness coordination over there. And so I'm trying to, the Tulalip tribe is also the tribe that I am honored to open up for acts like Smokey Robinson, Gladys Knight, Melissa Etheridge, like we were talking earlier. God, who am I missing? Oh, Patti LaBelle.
Ooh.
I know, right? So I've been Kenny Loggins this past September. So it was, not only do I have a lot of people I love in Tulalip, but then I got brought in to start singing and warming up these acts. And so it was kind of inevitable that when, there came a time to shift or to pivot, I thought, well, what can I give to the nearby community that I love so much? So I went looking for a job opportunity over there, and that's what I've been doing. But then also, I'm still working with, some youth groups down in Seattle, like the Urban Native Education Alliance, UNEA, and I sent you guys that PSA where we did for masking up and vaxing up and boosting up and taking good care of each other, because what a lot of people out there don't understand is that Indigenous people, our people suffer. People of color suffer most from these disparities, these illnesses, and the pestilence, the pandemic that's happening. It will strike us because we already have these comorbidities in place: diabetes, kidney disease. We have all kinds of genetics that make this, virus very viable to us. So we have to take care of each other. It's not a joke. But non-Indigenous people have a hard time understanding that.
Yes. And I just want to throw in a little tiny ripple of that. We were told that this virus is a spirit, it's
Mhm.
alive, and to heed our words as we speak about this virus and
Mm,
look at the mask as a sacred object, and treat it as such.
mhm.
Keep it with us at all times. And I've added to that to make a relationship with my own breath, because in my mask, I'm living in my breath. So
Mhm.
I'm breathing in and out my own breath into myself. And there's a real mind control with that where it just becomes me. With the mask on, I feel protected. And
Mhm.
these days I'm doing KN95s or N95s. Oh, actually, I don't have any N95s. So thank you for saying that, sister. That's really beautiful.
Well,
I
we got
read
to
a,
take care of each other,
yeah,
and
we
that's
have
that's
to.
the bottom line. I
By
mean,
wearing my mask, I'm taking care of you,
yeah, yeah. It's a
and
partnership,
that's
creator
it.
creator God is there. He's going to watch over us and everything. But if we walk into the middle of I-5 and we're not looking both ways and a semi hits me, is creator God going to save me? So, I'm not going to be blind, deaf, and dumb. I'm going to do my part. And that's what that's about.
Okay. Well, moving on to thank you for talking about mental illness. Thank you for putting a spotlight on that. It's something that society has taught people to be ashamed of, along with addiction. Um, there's a whole history in all of that, and more people are coming out and talking about this thing called depression, and it's very real, and it's really exacerbated a lot of people in recovery in these times of isolation and having to face self in new ways and get creative on how we can survive and not go crazy.
Yeah.
So, as I was reading your bio that you sent to us, thank you very much for that bio. And again, the transparency in the bio. Can you talk a little bit about relocation and what does that mean to you? Because a lot of people from where I come from were taken as little children, the boarding school era starting from the late 1800s, and just ripped from the families and put in boarding schools, and all kinds of stuff happen in that. And your story is a little bit different. So what does relocation mean to you?
Well, I wrote a song about that, and it's about my song Homelands. I should have sang that one. Um, I think that, in the moments where we were ripped away from our homes, whether it be our boarding school ancestors, whether it be our relatives from, um, our grandparents or our great grandparents, there was a mighty wave of sorrow, I think. And I think that, the homelands, I think it begins with Mother Earth too, and that the homelands really missed, the footsteps and the love that was put into the earth from, the removal of us from where we came. And so it's really important to me to, no matter where I go, honor where I'm walking, like when you acknowledged the Okewinge and the lands, the tribal lands that we're on, because no matter where you're relocated on this continent, it's all Indian country. And it's all indigenous, and tribal, from Canada all the way down to Mexico. It's Indian country before anybody came here by sea. So we have this innate responsibility and innate love to take care of this beautiful earth that Creator God gave us, right? So relocation for me is just something that happened in my life. And as I mentioned early on, in my story began like right after birth. And when I was a child, I moved a lot because I was a product of abuse, and the people, the non-Indigenous adopted family, they would abuse me a lot. So we moved a lot because they didn't want suspicion coming to the front door. And so we moved a lot. I remember moving about 6, 7 times when I was a child before I turned to the age of 14. And then I was also in foster care. So that was like a whole nother, you know, area to be in. And sadly, that's hard to break, because even when I was with my son, or even when I was giving birth to my son, I tried to stay in one place for the longest time, and that place was Santa Fe. So I raised my son in Santa Fe. Even though he was born on the Navajo Nation in Chinle, Arizona, I still stayed in Santa Fe because I had moved so much my entire life, and I was already ripped away from my homelands. Santa Fe felt like home to me, and I could breathe there. I could feel all kinds of beautiful energy there, and it just meant a lot to be in Santa Fe. And so I raised my son there. We moved from house to house, but at least we stayed in Santa Fe for 12 years. And then I moved here to Seattle, which again, when I first got here, it was a different kind of feeling than Santa Fe. This feeling out here was a feeling of home. This feeling out here was like, I've made it home. The mountains, the sea, the air, the smells, I made it home. So when I came home to Seattle, and I've been out here for 12 years now, I have no desire to move again. My son misses Santa Fe. And I think that's why he suffers a lot. So I've been trying to get him to go back home. But relocation is tough. It's tough, but you have to know where your heart is. And if you concentrate and focus on the energy within your heart, and you have to just stay tied to, I think, who you are and whose you are. Like I was saying earlier, home is always in here. Home is always in your heart. And I think that's what our ancestors, our boarding school ancestors, used to probably think of all the time too, because when they got removed and they went into the boarding schools and they were all grouped in together, they all longed to be home. They all cried to be home. They all missed home, and they would close their eyes and they would hang on tight to those memories of their family and their cultural traditions and everything that they would do. And they couldn't wait for the times, if they were lucky, to go back in the summer and see their families, but they kept it all right there in their heart. And I think that's how a lot of them probably made it through. And the fact that, they all leaned on each other. They all got to see each other every day, even though they endured the same pain together. With adoptees, it's a little different. We don't get to see each other. We got to saw faces that didn't look like ours. And so that relocation was a lot different. I'm not going to say it was harder, but it was a lot different to look at people that looked nothing like us and then have to assimilate into what they were rather than what we were.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful that it feels like you've made full circle. You've come full circle with all of that to find your place with identity, which takes me to my next question.
Mhm.
Identity, cultural appropriation, cultural identity, mixed blood.
Mm.
How do people reconcile culture? And because there's a lot of people that it was really inappropriate to be mixed blood back in the day.
Mm.
So a lot of people with the mixed blood went with whatever was popular at the time. And there was a lot of shame involved. So, how do you find yourself in these mixed assertions and mixed perspectives to determine self, despite your challenges like that you've experienced as a child and stuff like that? Just to know you, because I get this real feeling that you're a woman of the earth. Like you're like looking at you, hearing you, I'm thinking of Mother Earth. So,
Mm-hmm.
like anywhere you go, you belong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it was a lot harder when you were young and impressionable, like our kids are today, right? And social media sort of takes over um, for their mindset. We don't know where their spirit goes when they're looking into that phone or looking onto those apps, but I can tell you the world is obviously a lot different now, and it's way more accepting now than when I was a child. And so, yeah, when I was a child, I was I mean, we're all mixed up now, but when I was a child, I was brutally beaten because of the color of my skin. And my adopted father, I'm very caramelized now, colored kind of like a latte now. But when I was a kid, I was super dark. And growing up in Michigan, you wouldn't think it would get that hot, but it got pretty hot. And the color of my skin, it only took 30 seconds for that melatonin to kick in. So, or whatever it is, whatever that's called. Anyway, I remember being put into a bathtub when I was a kid, and my adopted father, this is a memory I have that made me, it was my first realization that there was something wrong with the color of my skin. And that was that he used to put me in the bathtub. And I loved baths because I was one of those weird kids that would bring animals home. And one time my adoptive father got really mad because he found me in the bathtub with a duck and a loaf of bread that was floating in there. And so, I don't know if he was mad at me or thought that was funny, but in any event, there was a lot of times where if it was summertime and the color of my skin was bothering him, he would scrub me and scrub me. And one time, I was so dark, especially, on my knees. I remember that this was the knee situation where he was scrubbing and it wasn't coming off, and he was flicking the water around, wondering why the water was still the same color. And then he went and got an SOS pad. You never forget being scrubbed with an SOS pad. And he was just so angry that my brown wasn't coming off. And I was very young, but yet I could realize what was happening. So that's when I had my first interaction with the fact that there was something wrong with the color of my skin, because he was trying to scrub it off. But I think that the way I looked was so confusing to the kids that I went to school with, because they knew they assumed I wasn't white. I didn't even know what there was. I mean, kids today, if you go up and ask a child today, unless they're really immersed in social media and they've learned something as compared to when we were kids, we didn't know color. We didn't have any idea that anybody else was a certain color or a race. We were all just kids, and we were just trying to be kids, and I was trying to make friends, but I had no friends because of the way that I looked, and nobody understood what I was. And I had no friends because they thought I was lying when I told them that I was white, because that's what was told to me, that I was Anglo. And so when all those people would come up to me and say, well, what are you? And I'd say, I'm German, Scotch, Irish, there was a lot of laughter. So, I mean, there was that race appropriation, the color of skin, cultural appropriation, all of that. It was learned and embedded into us. I think or myself and many other adoptees, I hear a lot of us talk about this because one thing that I don't know if anybody knows about, that we were all shipped out and put into white families. We weren't put with any families of color. So, and people always say, well, why did they do that? Well, why do you think? So let's think about this for a minute. Why would you take Indigenous children and people of color and put them into Indian or non-families of color? Why would you do that? Back in those days, racism was off the charts. I mean, if it's not already now, it was a lot worse back when I was a kid. And so the government wanted all of those families that we went to do their dirty work. And the reason I know this to be true is because of the hundreds of thousands, more than there are members of the Navajo Nation, of the hundreds of thousands of us, tens of thousands did not survive. So maybe let that sink in. And they were all taken at the hands of their white adopted families who took their lives. So we got to know this really well. Now, I don't want this to be a negative thing because again, those of us who did survive, we definitely came out of it and trying to figure out how to make the world a better place while we're pulling ourselves up and trying to survive or thrive. But we constantly, all of us that are aware, are constantly thinking about those who didn't make it, those brothers and sisters of ours who we know, I think deep in our hearts as adoptees, would want us to carry on, would want us to talk about this, would want us to do the best we can with what we have left and make an impact and make a difference and tell our stories. So in terms of, I don't know if I went off the mark here, but in terms of how we're perceived back then versus now, the world is such a different place, and it embraces differences so much more than it did back then. It embraces someone who doesn't have answers to their life story and says, oh, who cares, we love you anyway, right? Or like I was saying earlier, all the indigenous families that say, well, you don't know where you come from, well, you're ours now, right? And even non-indigenous people, you would think that I would grow up really not liking non-indigenous people, but I did at one point because I figured out at an early age, sadly, and I will stop and say this, full stop, sadly, because I thought that non-indigenous people were the enemy. I thought that they were doing everything to hurt me, but it wasn't the case. And forgiveness is the key to unlock that inner self-love and be set free. And so when I was able to do that, I don't think that way anymore. And so I think we waste a lot of time on not being able to forgive what has happened in the past.
That's beautiful. Thank you very much. And as you were talking, I was thinking about all the beautiful talent that has been, that continues to be out there,
Yeah.
and how we look at competition.
Mm.
Competition should be a good thing, and a good thing to thrive, to excel. But competition shouldn't be jealousy and like, that should have been me. I should have your voice,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. And I see that a lot out there. I know it's an Indian country, but I know it's also in other communities globally where we have this learned thing that competitiveness can turn into something that's really negative and hurtful. And a lot of emerging artists have stopped their career because of those mean, hurtful things that people have said to them. So it's really, and our beautiful sister Kira Ann Arnett says, envy.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
And it's and people have stopped short of pursuing their career because somebody doesn't want them to continue. So I'm really honored and grateful that you have stayed in the game, because man, what a shame if you had not pursued this road, because all those beautiful songs you've written would not be out there. So we would love to hear a lot more about what you've got to talk about. We want to have you back. But in the meantime, we're kind of wondering if it would be okay for you to maybe sing another song, or yeah, are you ready to do that?
Let me see. Oof. on this computer, I should have brought over my homelands. I should have brought over another song.
Oh, the
You guys
interpreter,
have that other, do you guys have a,
yeah,
do you have that other song I sent you? Because
yeah.
I just don't know how any other song is gonna do. The one song I wanted to sing with, because I don't know, full disclosure to your audience, I'm still suffering from bronchial pneumonia.
That one
So
you sent me, I think your interpreters worked on.
yeah, so I'm surprised I've lasted this long, but thank goodness for my inhaler. Yeah, maybe that recording. And I just want to say something real quick to anybody out there about that, what you said about envy and keeping yourself in the game. You honestly, in order to remain, to have inner peace and inner love and forgiveness, you really sometimes have to remove yourself from the game and really work on yourself. And so I let a lot of things and a lot of years go by because I watched myself go in a bad direction, exactly what you were talking about, envy and jealousy, and why should it should be me, and I'm doing this, I'm working so hard, why am I not getting ahead? And then it's such a evil concept. It's really truly the enemy coming in and just having its way with you. And so it's so much better to remove yourself from all of that, remove yourself from who you think you are, and go back to who you were born to be.
Right on,
So,
sister.
yeah.
And I just got a beautiful text from our beautiful brother, Crescenciano. He said, you can sing whatever you want, sister, because your enunciation on your words are so crystal clear. So whatever you want, just give it to us.
Oh my
Thank you.
gosh. Okay.
Kathy Terry, Mom,
Okay.
I'd like to
Hey, Mom.
I'd like to start to
Yate.
dedicate this song to you, my mom Kathy, and my stepdad Harry.
Okay.
Love you guys.
So
Miss you.
that
See you.
one's an easy one. Okay, so I'm already rocking because when I was a little girl and that song came on the TV, um, I told that story about how what my adoptive mom did to me, and so every time I sing that song, I rock. Eh? One more hit. My hot water and honey. It's not hot anymore. Okay. Excuse me, guys. Okay. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly. Birds fly over the rainbow. Why? Then oh, why can't I? One day I wish upon a star way up where the clouds are far beyond me, where troubles melt like lemon drops, way up above those chimney tops. That's where you find me, somewhere over the rainbow. Skies are blue, oh, and all those dreams that you dare to dream really do come true.
Wow. Wow. That was the best version of that song I've heard. The last time I heard that song was played by the Pacific Curls in a festival we played in called the Dreaming Festival in Australia several years ago. So, wow, that was beautiful, Star.
Oh,
Thank you so much. Thank
thank
you, thank you,
you.
thank you for sharing you. And at this time, I am going to pass it over to our beautiful Elena.
Right on. Thanks so much for that, Star. You know, we have a lot in common. One was the first place that I ever went to was in the States in 2005 was Tulalip Reservation. And they had just started the youth canoeing. Anyway, that kind of was my launch into the States. And the second is we have so much in common. I'm a state of the ward in New Zealand with my foster family, you know, and it was interesting this Saturday. We've got two cats now, COVID, you know, we travel a lot as you do. And so kind of, no, we can't do the cat thing. But since COVID, we got these two cats. One's a kitten, was, the other one's an elder grandmother cat. And on Saturday, it came to me, gee, my love is very biased with the kitten. And anyway, that really thinking about it and processing really put me back to my former early childhood of being beaten by my stepmother, and then just the processes of that, like in my early late teens, early 20s, looked at that, forgave her. But then, you know, am I perpetuating that and having to really look at that? So I really appreciate you sharing on a very personal, intimate level of your own healing processes because you have so much to give. So thank you for your extraordinary walk. So what I'm going to do now, for those people that are new here, thank you for being here with us. This is what's actually coming up. We beam out every third Wednesday of each month. So next month, we have the beautiful Cynthia Bond, who is a New York bestseller author. She is really quite extraordinary with her work that she has been doing. She was also, her book Ruby was one of Oprah's book club selection. She will be joining us during Black History Month. We're very honored. I also want to do a wrap. We had her extraordinary mother, Dr. Zalima Harris, who's been on the Wisdom Circle twice, educator, amazing, and her phenomenal sister, who we know through the music circle, who's shared a lot with us there. So we're excited because she will be joining us next month. So please put the time, the date in, same channel, everything. We'd love to see you back again. And then, you know, this Friday, we have got a special film screening and panel discussion collaborating with the Institute of American Indian Arts, IAIA, especially the counseling service and the welcoming spaces, and also American Indians in film and television. So this is a very special time. A lot of the schools have come back, and we're doing the short documentary, which is called The Bears on Pine Ridge, which is following an extraordinary woman by the name of Shorty, who specifically goes around the community with dealing with youth suicide awareness and prevention. So we invite you all in. It's free. It's the same channel as where we are tonight if you're on Zoom. If you're in our social media, you're not going to see the film. So if you want to come in through Zoom, go to our website, IndigenousWays.org. Otherwise, you'll just see some of the panel discussion through our social media networks of that. But I also want to remind you this is a content and trigger warning. The content and discussion in this film will include topics that may be emotionally and intellectually challenging to people suffering from ideations and PTS surrounding self-injuries, behavior, and or thoughts of suicide. So this film is intended and the discussion for mature audiences. Viewer discretion advised, but in saying that, we invite you all. It's about the discussion. The way through this is through it. We can push it under the table, but that's what we've been doing since colonialism, and it's time for change. Like the beautiful Star talking on a deep level of where she's come from, and then it comes through her art and her extended hand out through the beloved communities. Now, in saying that, we have, since the 1st of April 2020, done weekly virtual events. We've now, every third Wednesday, as I was saying, we've been able to support over 145 Native American, Indigenous, LGBTQIA, elders, artists, musicians,
comedians,
spiritual advisors, medicine people through this format. So if you want to know more, or you want to see Star again and share this clip, that will be on our website, IndigenousWays.org. And there you'll also see all the over 145 presenters there that you can see at your leisure. Down below us, you'll see flipping through all our social media networks. Thank you all those that have joined us live, or if you're watching the social media archives, thank you for being here and blessing us with your synergy and energy. All these are free, so it includes all. And what's been important for us since the 1st of April 2020, they have all had ASL interpreters.
Thank you.
So thank you to Chris Essiano that you see on the screen, and the other beautiful ASL interpreter that we have had today, Brenda, who has been with us, making access available to all. Thank you for your online donations that have kept us here. I also want to give our shout out for our sponsors for 2020. They include the National Endowments of Humanities, New Mexico Humanities Council, Northern Rio Grande National Heritage Area, New Mexico Arts, the National Endowments of the Arts. So we really appreciate that. We also appreciate your personal donations as well in making this happen. And thank you to our board members as well. Last month, being the end of December, we made our 20th run to the Navajo Nation, and this was only possible through this platform thanks to all of you. You contributed over $200,000 to make these runs possible. So we specifically went out to the deaf and hard of hearing in the Four Corners region. We had a whole massive crew here packing all these boxes. I think we had 2,600 pounds of meat. Sorry, vegetarians and vegans, bleep that. But we had meat that were distributed out to the families. And that was our 20th run, but it was all possible because of you. Thank you for the love and making all of these runs possible. Our end of the year, thanks to you, we're able to raise over 10,500. So thank you so much for supporting us, to be able to support the artists, allow people to come in and experience what you have this evening or in the recording of what's going on. And then if you are able to give, these are our PayPal, Venmo links. And if you're not into that, we get it. There's also our snail mail that is also there. So if you're new, particularly in Zoom, this is this time if you want to turn on your video. Now remember, this is being recorded, so if you don't want to be seen, that's perfectly okay. And what will happen is, this is this great time that people that we had got a lot of feedback from, and what that was the essence of being here all together, intimate questions that you may have for Star, or some comments that you may have for Star. And so this is this time here. What I'm also going to do, if this is okay with you, just give me a thumbs up, Star, while people are figuring out where their cameras are and so forth. Do you want me to put your Venmo in? Because I heard you've created all this wonderful sound. So if people want to support you too and recording, does that sound good if I share your Venmo? Is that okay?
Oh, yeah.
Perfect. And then while that's while that's happening, I'm going to share Star's Venmo, not only in our Zoom, but also platform. So if you want to be a part in helping this next album, some of that she shared earlier in here, this is what this is about. While people are kind of gathering their thoughts, I also want to go to our social media while people are figuring out their cameras. And so Tash will take over from here. But I just wanted to say, in social media, if you're there, share your comments and we'll share them as well. We had Michelle Mormo in Michigan. She said, "Hi, Star. I'm in St. Clair Shores, just north of Detroit, your foundational city." And she says, "You are doing fabulous work." We've also got Annette Diamata, who is also with Vox Femme. Her and her wife have also presented in here with their healing work, and they're amazing musicians. She said, "Thank you, sisters, for keeping on in spite of everything. We keep each other going. You keep us going." Beautiful work from Sister Star Nayea. Thank you. And then she says, "Musicians are first respondents for our souls." So just from when you were talking about that. And then I'm going to hit it with Tash.
Yep. And then thank you, Christine McDewitt in Columbus, Ohio. Thank you, Star, for sharing your story. I am humbled. I am humbled. You have lived such a life journey. I look forward to hearing more. I will follow your music online. Many blessings for your brave, powerful life sharing. Your heart shines so brightly.
Great. And then while Tasha's taking a pause there, I also want to give a shout out to a couple of people. We've got Sofia Martinez, who's been really amazing with the decades of work she's been
Voice
doing
Feminista.
on KUNM, Voices Feminista, every Saturday, every first Saturday of the month.
Hey,
so
you guys.
be sure to tune in.
Hey, guys.
Because the work they do is supporting women, the voices of the woman. So thank you for that. We've also got, and we've got many people in, but I want to give a shout out to Dr. Sheila Rocha, who is here, and lots of healing love to you, and also your students from IAIA who may have popped in. Be sure to tune in on Saturday because that's for you, mob, as well. Tash.
And I just want to say, Sofia Martinez, I'm honored to say Dr. Sofia Martinez.
Doctor!
Yeah. So, did you want to say a few words, Sofia?
No, we are nothing compared to you all. You are all smooth. And I'm sorry I've only caught a couple of the programs. So my New Year's resolution is I'm going to be here.
Right
You are here. Thank you for all the amazing work that you do, Sophia. We love you.
And we thank you for supporting IndigiFem in our formative years. 15 years ago, you've had us on your show on and off. So thank you for loving us and supporting us. And
some of your people on Voices as well.
Yeah, and it looks like we've got beautiful Renee Romanos.
Have you got some wonderful wise words or comments you want to share with Star? It's great to see you.
It's great to see you both and the good work that you're doing in the world. It's so appreciated. To my sister Star, I've loved you for so many years, decades, really. And I applaud your courage that you keep telling your story and you keep reaching out to others, and you have such a big heart. And I love being a part of your life. Thank you so much.
I miss you.
I miss you too, sis. I'll come see you soon. I promise. I promise.
Thanks for being on, Renee. Wonderful to see you. And just plug in our archives. You'll see the beautiful, deep, wonderful words of Renee there too. Great to see you.
Thanks to Judy Shapiro. Let's go on to our sister Arletta. Hi, Arletta, and Luke Kachukai. You can just spell L-U-K. What's up, Arletta? That's Arletta. She's deaf, Navajo sister. She's saying hi.
Yat
Yep. Yeah. Hey, Arletta. Good to see you. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us tonight from Lukachukai. That's L-U-K. All right, let's go.
On the Navajo Nation.
On the Navajo Nation. Let's move up to Kira and Arnett. Yate.
Hi. Good to
Kira,
finally meet you all.
Nice to meet you, Kira. And how's it going, Annette?
It's going pretty okay. It's been a pretty chill day. I was really looking forward to this class. I had a little bit of internet trouble not too long ago, but I got that figured out. So we're doing pretty good.
Sweet.
Beautiful. Thanks for blessing us, Kara, and also your comments in the chat.
nice to see you.
And,
Of course.
and on to Annette. Annette from Albuquerque.
Thank you. I really enjoyed this. It's really good. And you know, I'm one of those with mental illness, and I'm glad that it's getting spoke of. But I just want to say hi, Tosh and Elena. So thank you.
Thank you, Annette.
sure.
Really beautiful to
Love
see
you, Annette.
Thank
Can't wait
you.
to see you in person when things are safe and calm down. So thanks for putting a name to that. Our sister Candy Jones. Candy, where are you?
Well, Candy's making her way to the camera. I just want to go to the social media. There's been some comments there from Janie Immerman. She says, Star, you are beautiful soul. Your light, you are a beautiful soul. Your light shines on all. Thank
Oh my
you.
gosh.
And Bonita Baxter says,
you.
Star, you are amazing. Tasha seconds that.
Yeah.
Got Donna, Sister Donna. She says, fabulous, thanks. And Kitty, one of our board members, is here tonight. Yay. Kitty says, thank you, Star, for your story and your voice so beautiful.
So just before we go to Candy, we've got Brandy. Yay. Thanks for being here, Brandy.
Atise hopa hiname akotola ele usha chanusta dami washtista. I've known Star since I was a little girl, and I just am so grateful for everything that she's always portrayed as a woman. And I'm just so blessed to have her as an aunt. I've called her all the time when I was struggling, and messaged her, and I'm just so proud of her for continuing to try to fight through the struggles that she's been through to show that you can still live a beautiful life and you can still have a kind heart and you can still be good. So I know definitely that she's made an impact on my life. And every time I hear her voice, I just am filled with so much happiness. So this is my daughter, and we were here listening. We're moving, but I had it on and we're listening and packing and unloading. So I'm just grateful that we were able to join and hear her story, because there's a lot of that she shared that I haven't heard. So thank you.
I love you, Brandy.
Love you too.
Miss you. I'm so proud of you, and congratulations. Your mom told me.
Thank you.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see you.
I know. I can't wait to see you too. Love you.
Love you so much.
Thank you. And our last and best friend, Candy Jones, would you like to say anything tonight, sister?
Miigwech, Star, that was a really remarkable sharing. And this week I just happened to be directed to watch Indian Horse, Richard Wagonace's novel turned film that's from your people. Have you seen it?
No.
It's about people from Canada, Anishinaabe people, taken into schools and relocation and, you know, government schools. It's very, very powerful. I think you find it amazing. But I just wanted to say, I thought it was very interesting. You're centering on the heart. And in the language, you know, in the Ojibwe language, the heart is so central to everything, the seven grandfathers. And to speak the truth is, it means to speak from the heart. And I just thought how beautiful that was, given you're so heart-centered. So, and I have Dorothy here.
Oh, thank you. Oh my God. Hold that up again.
She's always on my desk. And here's
I have
man.
her to thank. I have the man too with the heart. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, come on. Could it be any better than that? That's amazing. Thank you so much. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
That's so beautiful. Thank you
Miigwech,
so much
yeah.
for that, Candy. Thank you. again. You know, we've come to that time, and you know, we've had so much fun, beautiful heart space of being broken with truth, you know, and helping our healing. And wherever you've beamed in from, we just want to thank you. Thank you for your sacred time, your attention, your presence, and blessing us in the circle. I want to give a special shout out to our two interpreters, Chris Cesiano and Brenda, making access available for all. So thank you so much for that. Thank you, each and every one of you, for making this time, whether you're joining us live in Zoom or you've been over in the social media page. We really appreciate each and every one of you, or you're taking the time now to look at the recording. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But this evening would not have been this evening without the powerful words, the journey, the song, the gifts from the one and only Star Nayea. So let's give it up for Star.
We love you, Star.
Touch the earth.